Welcome back to part 16 in trying to find zeros of a function by factoring. And I'm going to continue a second example of going over special products, factoring difference of squares. So here's a problem you see here, 64 times m squared plus a negative 9 times n squared, right? And I just want to show you that by adding a plus sign here, listen, it's not going to change a thing. It's only going to clarify what the two terms are, right? Most likely you'll see the problem like this, 64 m squared negative 9n squared. But this is plus a negative 9n squared. And it's okay to put that plus sign there. It's not going to change a thing. It's only going to clarify. Okay, I want to point that out. It's really important. So here I'm going to look at these two terms, right? 64m squared is a term. Negative 9n squared is another term. And I want to try to find, is there a greatest common factor I can take out of both of these terms? Is there a greatest common factor that both these terms share? The answer is no. And you're saying, well, why not? Well, there's an n to the second power here with the term on the right. There's an m to the second power with the term on the left. So I can't take out any variables or letters, excuse me. Now I look at the negative 9 and 64. Is there a number that both of these terms, negative 9 and a positive 64, shares that I can divide evenly into both of these numbers, negative 9 and 64, without getting a remainder, and that is not the number 1? No. So there are no greatest common factors with these two terms. But I can tell you this, they are perfect squares, because I know two numbers multiply to 64, two letters multiply to an m squared, m times m, two numbers will multiply to that negative 9, and we have two of the same numbers that will multiply to that n squared. Let's take a look at those now. So you want to find the perfect squares for the terms, right? So we have 64 times m squared plus a negative 9 times n squared, right? And so 64 times m squared, negative 9 times n squared. So I'm going to break these up into the perfect squares that we have. And so another thing I want to remind you when we're factoring, right? We always, or, well, maybe not always, but most of the time, you're going to want to put these into parentheses, right? You're going to want to put these into parentheses. And remember, usually we're using x's or y's, but we're going to say m times m, right? M times m is m squared. And n times n is n squared. So I know this can be kind of like a template for me. I know I'm going to have an m times m because I got m squared right here. I know I'm going to have n times n because I got an n squared right here. And I know 64 is a perfect square, 8 times 8. I know 9 is a perfect square, 3 times 3. Or in this case, negative 9, which is a negative 3 times a positive 3. And so right now, I just need to determine what's going to go here in the middle between that m and that n, right? And looking over here, I have no terms in the middle. I have no mn terms in here, which means whatever number I put in here in the middle, right in front of that n, is going to add up to 0. It'll add up to 0. Well, which numbers down here multiply to a term? Negative 9, but will add up to 0. Negative 3 plus a positive 3 gives me 0. So that's what I'm looking for. I've already set up my m and n. Now I need to figure out, well, let's see here. 64 is 8 times 8. Negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. Hey, where am I going to put these terms, right? 64 is 8 times 8, m, right? So I'm going to put that 8 in front of the m's. And I'm going to put that negative 3 and the positive 3 in front of the n's. Let's go ahead and take a look at that now. As we go through here, set up your FOIL like I have above. And you can see now here. How? 8m times 8m gives me 64m squared. Negative 3n times a positive 3n gives me negative 9 squared. And if you were to FOIL this out, you'd end up with a negative 24 mn, a positive 24 mn, which would give you 0 in the middle of the term that we started with. Okay. Now, what I want to show you here is that you can put 8m plus that negative 3n here, and then the other term will go here. Or you can take this term here and you can put the plus 3n here, starting in the parentheses, which would just mean the other term inside the parentheses would go here. You can write them either way. Both mean the exact same thing. Hey, let's go ahead and check our answers. And moving forward, and we check our answers. Oh, excuse me, things are bouncing around here. Ooh, everything is going everywhere. All right. We check our answers by using FOIL. And so remember FOILs, first term to first term, outer term, first term to the outer term. I is inner term to inner term. The last term's that negative 3 and that positive 3n. So let me get this lined up here, and let's just go see what that looks like. This is our FOIL, first term times first term. 8m to the first power times 8m to the first power here. Separated with a plus sign, right? Then the outer terms, right? 8m to the first power times that positive 3n. Oops, I made a mistake here. This should be a positive 3n, and this should be the negative 3n, but since I've inversed them, we're okay. We're still in good shape. So 8m times a positive 3n, I'm showing you right here. And then we multiply the inner term, negative 3m times 8m, which is right here. We're still in good shape. I just made that mistake, and mistakes are the golden road to knowledge. We're still good. Negative 3n times a positive 3n. Those are the last terms, which I'm showing you here. Now I'm showing you the invisible ones with these variables because it just makes things easier. When you multiply, you have the same base. You add the exponents. The base here is m and m. M times m would be m squared. N and n times n is n squared. So let me go ahead and show you that, what it looks like here. So 8 times 8 is 64. M times m is m squared plus plus. Negative 3 times 8 is a negative 24mn plus plus. 3n times 8m is a positive 24mn plus plus. Negative 3 times a positive 3 is a negative 9. N times n is n squared. We're going to combine these like terms. Positive 24mn plus a negative 24mn. They cancel out to be 0. You're left with 64m squared plus a negative 9 squared. Is that the same problem I started with? It absolutely is. Then that answer checks out. Hey, thanks for joining me. Math is easy. Take it step by step. If I've helped you, please help me continue to bring these videos to you by donating, star, or gift. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me. Math is easy. Take it step by step.